go back to this question. You obviously think you are not too emotional. But I'm curious, and I have no doubt that you are right. But now, why? What is the? I want you to tell me what is the relationship of your experience working for women and then being board members? I'm not trying to dispute it. I'm just interested in your thoughts. Okay, is that because females are more recent entrance to the managerial or the commercial or the business sector at a higher level? Okay, maybe it's just that they're new in the game and they feel a little vulnerable. They feel they have to prove something. Don't you think females think they have to prove something to men? Sorry, no, that's not the right question. Do you think females generally do have to prove something to men? I've heard from Cheryl and Josephine and Nadine on this issue. Any comments? Okay, they think there's still a reluctance. There's some sort of bias, Lisa, in terms of picking females. If you realize, folks, let me just check on who is with us now. Cheryl, Dion, Josephine, Nadine, Keisha, and Lisa D. Colleen. You realize that all of the female, that you are on the vanguard. Yes, I know you're still here. You're the vanguard. And you have to, I'm not saying all of you should be board members, but I just hope some of you do become board members. Various organizations doesn't have to be a big company. Big small companies often do needs a lot of expertise and good advice and clear thinking, not just expertise. Okay, there's no Dominic, you're here. What do you mean by no economic incentive to diversify more boards? Does everything have to have an economic incentive directly, or can it be something more for the longer term? Okay, to motivate action, okay. Well, I think that maybe we have to have also a longer term perspective. But think of this issue on board. How do we get a commitment, okay? How do we get a more broader well, I don't know. Why would names change your outlook? But what I would hope is that we look for the best person, whatever their background, you know. And I don't think quality and capability and character, expertise is dominant in any one group or subgroup. That's just my view. The more we unearth talent, the better we are. Okay. This is a proposed recruitment process. Obviously, there are variances elsewhere, right? Director recruitment is a responsibility of the nominating governance committee. Maybe the board takes this on if there are not many committees, smaller boards. You have to identify the needs of the company, gaps in director capabilities. That could include not only gaps, existing gaps of historic capabilities, but also new requirements as the world and the industry and the company changes. Identify potential candidates either through director networks or with a professional recruiter. Rank candidates in order of preference. Meet with each candidate successively offer jobs. Put before shareholders for approval. Notice Prof. Larker says director recruitment differs from senior recruitment in that candidates are ranked in order before interviews take place. In other words, do a lot of background checks. You think even in the US, even in Europe and Japan, and the more sophisticated financial markets, commercial market, you think board recruitment is necessarily as how should I say, structured and logical as this? Would it make a difference if persons were to apply? What do you think? As opposed to just being invited? Or, Colleen, let me add to that. Would some sort of cumulative voting, where a group could put up a candidate, and let's say you're voting for 9 directors, you could put all your 9 votes for the 1 director. So in other words, a small group that wants to have some representation on the board, they could vote for, get their representative on the board, and by not having to, or should I say, dilute their voting votes spread over a large number of candidates. Any thoughts? Because question is, should we allow directors? I mean, should people be able to apply? Would they have to be shareholders to be applicants? Because remember, the board is appointed directly by the shareholders, whereas the management is mainly appointed by the board. So the board level is very much. You don't like that, but so what other groups? No. Think about it. Think about it. Okay? Compensation. I want you to look at that top level there, top bullet. Compensation must be sufficient to attract, retain, and motivate qualified directors. What is your thinking? Back in the day, when I was a little, not really, I was never really active board member, but on some boards, it was going way back in the late 90s. Compensation was non-existent. It was a sort of an honor, but also a duty, or like a contribution, recognition. I gather increasingly, and I think for good reason, that board members are paid, should be paid some compensation, because especially when it's putting into their time. What do you think about this? You can look at the US, $20 billion companies, board members are getting total compensation over $220,000 a year, or $230,000. Smaller companies, $132,000. It's a lot of money. Some of them are making much more elsewhere. It's not to be sneezed at, especially for somebody who is maybe a retiree and has less to do. Got to pay to attract the best. Only pay when you attract them with, or you're going to also hire people with a certain amount of integrity and capability that would lead us to be functional. Okay. Also, if you have committees, the board committee will have to pay them for that. I don't think there is as widespread as they would maybe in Jamaica. Okay? What about this one? Many companies in the US require directors to maintain minimum ownership levels of company equity. In other words, they must align themselves with shareholders in terms of their ownership of equity. Therefore, the idea they want to incentivize them to look after the shareholders' interest by being shareholders themselves. Fortune 250 company, 80% of equity ownership guidelines, that's for directors. 55% stated as a multiple of annual retainer, so the retainer is 20,000, some multiple of that. 24% is a fixed number of shares. 14% is a fixed dollar value of shares. The various, what should I say, criteria for share ownership. Increasingly requiring share ownership. What do you think? Suppose there's a dominant shareholder, and they need to have the board need to be as incentivized as opposed to case of diversified multiple small shareholders. What do you think? Any thoughts, Colleen? Josephine, Cheryl, Dominic, Dee. Huh? Think about that, eh? I don't think equity. Why is it tricky, Dominic?